What needs to be in place for your TTRPGs to be successful? What if I told you that there's a concept regarding the way we play these kinds of games and act when playing them that dates all the way back to the late 1930s? We're talking about the Magic Circle today, and this is Masters of Pen and Paper.
Finny and DG lead the way. New RPG systems every day. Dice roll, quick adventure calls. Walking through tabletop's golden halls. Masters of pen and paper. RPGs of every flavor. Talking about different creators. The choice of games is never greater. Come with us to games they run through. New, old, and interesting. Thank you all for listening.
Welcome in Masters of Pen and Paper, episode 30. The behind the screens episodes. You guys love them. We love to make them. I mean, actually, I don't know if you guys love them or not because nobody talks to us. So
yeah, yeah, they do. It's not a knowing thing. It's a feeling thing. Is what it is.
Yeah. You got me, your main man, Finny, and my good bud over here.
DG, how is everyone doing? Are we ready to talk about our feelings today?
It's a therapy session. Yep. It's the best kind of therapy, though.
It really is. I mean, anything that has to do with tabletop gaming, obviously, is right in our wheelhouse. But I mean, it's important to identify this kind of stuff, especially as you go out and play those games, to make sure that, at the bare minimum, everybody else around the table is in the exact same place, that they know what is and isn't okay.
Yes, and knowing that everybody is in the exact same place.
That's right. Yeah. You don't all have to be performing on the same level, but we just have to understand how we're going to be performing.
That's right. Tabletop RPGs is one of our favorite things to do, and it is one of the most diverse hobbies that you can do out there. You've got all sorts of everything. That being said, there are certain quote-unquote rules that are to be abided by that are generally universal to every table and every game type. Now, rules they come in different forms, but they're basically boiled down to the same few, and they're in place to make sure that the game and the hobby is both welcoming and safe for everyone. These are typically unspoken rules, right? The unwritten laws that everybody's just supposed to know. And if you're new coming into the scene, that's kind of not there.
It's a little daunting. Yeah. And I mean, and we're in some cases, we're not even talking about rules so much as a feeling, right? Because, you know, oftentimes it's described as like just changing who you are as you kind of come to sit down at the table, right? And this isn't new. I went back and I did a little bit of research. 1938, a man by the name of Johan Huizinga publishes a book in Danish called Homo Ludens. And his goal was to understand how play works, like how the human mind works with play, and ultimately comes to explain that it's the most exalted human activity, that it permeates every aspect of our lives and culture, and goes on to say that we're at our most human and perhaps at our most civilized, even more so than allegedly sophisticated pursuits, right? It's a something that's been in us since the beginning, right? The concept of like getting into the moment type of thing, right?
Yeah. That's very cool.
It is very cool, right? To think that this book from like 100 years ago, there was these obvious views on human behavior, right? In playing games. The book is very dated. I'm not recommending that you go out and read it because it was written in 1938 in Danish, and then it was translated to German, and then it was translated into English. So
there's some lost in translation.
There's some
along
stuff
the way.
in there that isn't, let's call it acceptable in this day and age. But with that being said, it's still cool to see those plot points on the map from that long ago, right? Because you know, they're obviously not playing tabletop RPGs back then, but but just the simple fact of like seeing somebody get that invested and that into games right from the get-go, which is really, really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and play doesn't necessarily mean just play games. Like we're talking like playing an instrument, playing
performing
cards,
in a theater,
performing theater. Yeah. Something that takes you out of your mindset that you usually are in and sets you in a different thing. And
That's
then
right.
you act in that thing and you lose concentration on everything else except for that thing.
Exactly. Yeah. We're locked in, as the young ones would say. We are locked in, right?
Is that what we're saying now?
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
Good. All right. Not locked up. Got it.
No, not locked up. Locked in. That's right.
What does this have to do with TTRPGs? Well, have you ever sat across the table from someone while playing a tabletop game and they look and act like a completely different person from what you know, especially if you know them outside of this game?
That's right.
Very different when they're playing.
Yeah, the quiet guy from the office is invited to come and play a game with you, and all of a sudden he's a master thespian and stands up and has his spotlight moment, and everyone claps and cheers, and it's like, where did that come from?
That's only on game night.
Yep, that's Magic Circle in action right there. That is what it is.
That's the cool part about all this. That's very, very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically an almost invisible boundary that separates play from reality. So it's like you're stepping into the magic circle. Mm-hmm. And we agree when we step into this magic circle to throw out everything that we're dealing with outside of this, sit down and get your mind set on this game.
Yeah, we're coming in with a clear mind on this one.
Clear mind. We're any grudges held
not
against other
that
players.
Baggage in.
None. Gone. Yeah. We just sit down, we play, and we don't care about anything else except for the play.
Yeah, we're locked in. That's 3 times, just saying. Count.
This is what makes Dungeons and Dragons generally
all TTRPGs.
So all TTRPGs, but Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
easy.
my
D&D.
bread and butter, baby. That's where I live.
Yeah, you're not just taking your dice and you're not just throwing it across the table and writing down numbers and
it's like, oh, I win.
And
excellent.
pretending
That's really
to
cool.
swing a sword around. Yeah. No, you are the adventurer swinging that sword, haggling for prices, looking for those potions, setting off on that giant adventure. You need to get your mind into that person that you are portraying, because that is the only way that person comes out of the flat piece of paper in front of you,
right,
to be shown to everybody else, right? Otherwise, you're a flat piece of paper on a table.
What are we doing here at that point, right? We might as well be reading a book, right? Because the beauty of something like this, of these games, is that they invoke that sense of imagination in you, right? They invoke that sense of being in the game, not playing the game, type of thing. And I mean, we all understand we're not literally swinging a sword around, but there's just this it's almost like you snap in and you make that roll and you see the dice tumbling on the table, and then it stops and you look at that 20 that's sitting on it and the table erupts with cheers, right? It's just like you're zipped into this moment immediately. And it's really hard to explain and hard to describe. We're talking about the niceties of it. It can go the other way too, right? Like there's these epic moments that are both in a good pattern and a bad pattern as well.
For sure. And we are generally talking, it comes out more in person play. Yeah. It's a little harder to do virtually because everybody sits at their computer doing other things.
You don't get that vibe from the guy beside you.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. You don't get to watch the 20 roll across the table. You don't get to... the atmosphere is a lot different.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, that being said, it can be done virtually. It's a little harder to do because It is.
It takes the right group, right? We say it all the time during the podcasts, but in the case of a virtual game, that's what it takes. Is it takes the right group to come together in order to make it work.
Yes.
And the right group comes together thank you to this concept, the concept of the magic circle, because we all need to be even more hyper vigilant in order to be part of this game, because we're not all in the same room. It's a heck of a lot easier to get distracted.
Yes, it is. Now, the magic circle represents a understanding that when we sit down at this table or in front of our computers, we all agree that we are here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
We are not here. We're here to have fun. We're here to play make-believe.
Yeah.
We're here to pretend to tell our stories.
We're here for the silly willy clickety-clack math dice time, math rocks time.
Exactly. And the dopamine hit when that rolls.
That's right. Yeah.
And above all this stuff, we're there not to judge others.
That's right.
Actions at all. Because what you might think is fun is not what Joe across the table might think is fun.
That's right.
But you have all come here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the session, we're all stepping out of the magic circle and back into reality.
Yep.
So you can do what happens at the table, stays at the table. What happens outside the table, stays outside the table.
That's right. Yeah, sometimes it can merge, but the basic rule that we want to really hammer down on here is that, like, if you had a bad day at work, the last thing you want to do is bring that into the game, right? Now your character's having an awful day and all of these other things. Like, no, right? Separate that from this. Keep those things completely separated out. Use this as the way to feel better from the bad day that you had today.
You leave your bags at the door and don't let them near you. Yeah. So let's get into some of the specifics about all of this.
Nuts and bolts, baby.
Because we've been yammering on long enough.
Yeah, absolutely. that was the longest intro we've done yet, and I gotta say,
no kidding.
I love it. We are locked in, Finny.
Yeah. So TTRPGs offer one of the most unique experiences that is available to us. It's something that you can sit down and dive into the world that the GM has made and forget about everything else for a little while. It's similar to where, like to a book where you can sit down, start reading. You don't know the ending. You don't know how it's going to come about. But this is in a group setting. Mm-hmm. So you share this entire thing with that group.
Right.
And you and your party are the ones that are experiencing it all at the same time. And it's not competitive. You have this group of people you're sitting down with, and it's not competitive, mostly.
Mostly. Yeah.
Mostly not competitive. Which isn't something you can usually find anywhere else. Like, sports are all competitive.
For the most
video
part.
Games are typically competitive or they are single player, right? Mm-hmm. Board games, you're lacking the story element of all of this, right?
Yep.
So TTRPGs is where this kind of
really amplifies.
Yeah, it really pushes the narrative and the working together group kind of work stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And
very cool.
You know, it's weird because once you start getting comfortable with the idea that we're playing in a world and we're not just playing a game, so to speak, like it's almost like something just clicks and you start building this world out in your head. So, you know, as the DM is describing these things that are happening in the game, you literally start to see, you know, your character walks down a dark hallway. The cobblestones reverberate with the sound of your footsteps as water drips from the ceiling. You picture in your mind that hallway, the stone, the water that's dripping, the sound that you're hearing that's kind of echoing off. It just kind of happens automatically. And as you play more, as you get a little bit more, you know, in tune with that, it's almost like it starts to happen one for one, right? You don't even have to really think about it anymore. You just kind of, you get this description and it's just, boom, it's there. And then the DM says, what do you do? And you're ready to react immediately. And it's it's super, super cool as you start to notice. A lot of people don't even realize it's happening until you point out, like, hey, do you realize that as we're talking about this, as we're saying these things, your brain is literally jumping through and running these pictures for you, right? You don't need a visual aid. The best games in the early days of D&D were theater of the mind, 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
That's one of the reasons I like theater of the mind. I can describe whatever I want to you, and it'll pop up in your head.
Zip into
the
it.
way that you want to see it. It's not my interpretation of it. It becomes your interpretation of it. And that's what really kicks it off. So first off, we have one of the biggest rules.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, we're using rule very lightly here. But I mean, that's it.
Every time we say rule, it's going to be in air quotes because it's not really. This is going to be a place of pretend and fun, not a judgmental one. So this means that everyone at the table is here for the same reason, and is to have fun.
Yeah.
No one is having fun if judgment is being thrown around the table, unless, of course, you're running Monster Crawl classes because the GM is the judge.
That's true.
Come on, that's I'm funny.
That's fair.
Come on.
that was what the kids call an inside joke or a pun. Yeah. A little bit of both.
You'll have to go back to a previous episode to find out. I'm not going to tell you which one.
That's right. It's a secret. Here's a hint. It's in the title. But yeah, I mean, the thing is it's pretty simple from a rule point of view. Treat others the way that they want to be treated, right? Like, we want to make sure that everybody's having a fun time. If somebody at the table is not having a fun time, the story, the game, the experience is going to suffer, right? A table with missing one of its legs is going to tip. And that's a problem. Yep. We need to make sure that we're all holding the story up.
That's right. Yeah. It doesn't fall to just the GM to make it work. The players have to contribute. This is, like I say, this is a cooperative game. That includes GM to players. We're working together here. The GM, it's never, very rarely is it ever GM against the players.
Yeah.
Like, very
you could be in a game where it is, and I'd recommend that you find another game if that's the case. So
yeah
unless that's what you signed up for, and then if that's the case, hey man, I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum, that's for sure.
It is a lot more fun when everybody's there for the same reason, and it is to tell a very intriguing story that everybody gets invested in.
Yeah, and I mean, and this goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? It's important that we leave it at the table. Sometimes things are going to happen that are good for the game, but maybe not so much for the players, right? Because tabletop RPGs thrive off of drama, you know? So the more intense the situation is, the more people are going to get involved with that situation, and that's going to lead to an even larger response, and this is going to kind of cascade, right? So getting a really good understanding with each other before you start playing about what is and isn't okay, that's the way to do this the right way. And we did an episode on session zeros. For anybody that hasn't heard it, it's episode 10. I'd really recommend that you check that out, because that is your moment to get this stuff out of the way. You need to have those session zeros and future connections as you go through the game as well, to make sure that everything is still in line with the rules that you set out, or the discussions that you had, or that people aren't going too far off, or, you know, hey, I couldn't help but notice that half of you missed your checks when I called for them last time. What's going on? Those levels of communication are going to go a long way to making sure that your game is well. And at the end of the day, you leave behind the decisions that are in the table, the quote unquote magic circle, and they stay there, right? Because the last thing is, if my character does something to your character, I don't want on Monday for you to be choked at me for doing that. If it was within good reason and it was for the story and everything was on the up and up, we got to leave it at the table.
I would dare say as long as it's in that character's kind of personality.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going out of your way to be, you know, to be a jerk, then that's another problem altogether, right?
Yeah, that's something else. But as long as you're doing your character the way that character has been played from here on, like
you're playing within the confines of the game. We're not going to get mad at each other, right? Because we're playing the game.
We're gonna leave it at the table. Leave it in the game. Yeah. Your character can get mad at the other character, but you cannot get mad at the
drama.
Player.
And that's okay. If that's a thing that happens, there's nothing wrong with that. But keep it in check. That's essentially what we're saying here.
Also, we're adults here. We can talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything boils down to having a little bit of communication.
If we need to pause quickly, have a quick aside, have a discussion, let us know. That's something we should do. And there's nothing wrong with identifying that. That's the mark of a healthy table. Yep.
The second thing we have is the be attentive rule. Now, this one's fun because everyone's here for the same thing, and including the GM, who has put in a lot of legwork to get this all up and running. And hey, you didn't decide to GM. That's did. Right. So buck up and listen. So that means that you should give them your full attention as they are trying to draw this story out and trying to give you all the information that they can to without giving everything away so that you can be in the moment. Put your phone down. Don't pull it out when it's not your turn. You know, if it's not your turn, you're waiting, wait patiently, listen to what's going on around you, because hey, if it's in combat and you're going, oh, it's my turn. What's happening?
Yeah, if we have to constantly be catching you up.
Yeah, where are we? What are we doing? Who's where? You know, that kind of stuff that immediately breaks immersion for everyone. Because now we're backtracking two turns. We're saying, well, Joe was over here and you were here and he did this. Now what do you do? Like, come on.
And it has a cascading effect because having to sit and explain the turn for 20 minutes to the same person leads to the rest of the table spacing out because they were paying attention. They know what's happened. And so we have this now cascading effect where John's turn comes up and John delays play for 20 minutes while he catches the play-by-play from what happened. Meanwhile, Sam over here is now pulled out the phone and it's like, oh, I'm not listening to this again, and is now also not in the zone anymore. And we have the circle is kind of shattering a little bit as that veil of immersion is starting to fall, right?
Well, and then the GM asks themselves, well, I'm losing my guy's interest here. Like,
am I doing something wrong?
Am I doing something right? Is it just a really boring game that I'm trying to run here? And all of a sudden they'll stop running the game and now we're out of a table.
Exactly. Yeah, and it kind of everything starts to implode.
Nobody else stepping up,
right? Not to make it sound like every time you pull your phone out, the entire game's going to shut down, right?
No,
but it's those moments where it becomes a problem. And again, I would really recommend listening to the Session Zero podcast because that is what the Session Zero exists for: is setting that line in the sand, saying, look, we're not going to cross this line. Real life happens. You catch an emergency text and you got to go, then you got to go. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But what
we're not saying take the phones and lock them up in a box.
I mean, unless that's what you agree. You're Session Zero. But the reality is that, there's going to be times where things are a little bit of a lull here. You kind of build out what your turn is in your mind. You've got about a 15-minute wait before your turn comes up. You're going to flip through a little bit on your phone. Fine. You know what? As the GM, I'm going to look the other way, but I expect you as the player when your turn comes up for you to act. If I see you doing that and then I'm like, hey, John, what do you do? And you're like, oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Now we got a problem. It's just, it brings the game to a halt. And it's incredibly breaking to the immersion.
And it's a slippery slope. Like you grab your phone out, because it's, okay, they're catching John up. Well, all right, scroll. All of a sudden, because, hey, they've made phones addictive because now all of a sudden you're doing it, every time you're done your turn, you're pulling your phone out and scrolling. Well, no, that's not what we're here for. We've agreed for this time, this place, for this amount of time
exactly
to be here, right?
Yeah.
So please be here.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is that this, I said this is a cascading effect, right? But this leads us into a whole set of things that can break the circle, right? Because it doesn't take much. And we talked about distractions, right? Phones, computers, snacks, like someone's just crunching down on something really loud or something beside you.
Some of them kettle cooked chips.
Right, side conversations, right? I'm leaning over and I'm having a conversation that doesn't pertain to the game. But we're also talking about things like metagaming, right? Like, again, pulling out the phone and being like, no, that monster is actually HP this and this and that and this, and we need to make sure we hit that troll with fire because otherwise it's going to regenerate. That is the same thing. Your character doesn't know that, so you're breaking immersion by interjecting your player knowledge into it, right? Rules lawyering. Another one, right? There is nothing more frustrating as a DM or a GM than the player saying, actually, that's not how that rule works. You can be wrong, and sometimes you're wrong, and it is what it is, but it's the follow-up for me, right? So you make the call, and you're like, hey, actually, that monster can't move 30 feet. If my monster does, I'm like, that's okay, this one does. If you follow up again after and like, well, but hang on a second, is that a this? That's not okay. Immersion gone. Everything's kind of, a veil again falls down.
That's not how that works. Nope. This is my world.
We mentioned real world tension being brought to the table, right? John's mad at Sam from something that happened at work and they brought it to the table and now they're bickering about whatever that has nothing to do with the game. And then the most egregious one for me, outside of those is tone mismatching, right? If everybody at the table, if there's something epic happening, a main character is dying or something like that, and there's a serious moment, and we're making serious decisions, and then one player's in the side cutting jokes and making fun of things, and I'm like, oh, my character is saying a prayer over, and this person's crying, and the other person's like, yeah, and I shout from the back, hey, you got any beer? Right? It's immediately world crashing, right? And that is a real problem because it just leads to the world shutting, like slamming shut, right? These are session zero decisions that need to be made, and these are moments that you would expect the DM, the GM to step in and say, hold on a second, we're going to take a 5-minute break, get your laughs, get your sillies out, whatever it is that you need to do, and then let's come back to the table and we'll have this moment because we all need to lock in here.
Yeah. Yeah, because hey, we're here as a group.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a group.
It's not
thing.
One person.
This brings us to our third point. This is a party-based game, typically. You're not the star of this show, okay? You are sharing this game with multiple people. Okay, you don't get to steer the boat at all times. This is the whole party is a hero, right? Not an individual hero with his entourage. Now, there are games out there that are like that, but not typically.
And I mean, even when you're steering the game yourself, you're still not steering the game yourself, right? Like,
no, it is based off what the entire party is doing, not what one person is doing. Now, one person might drive the narrative off to the side a little bit so that the whole party kind of has to chase after them and do that side thing, and then they all come back to the main part and they go from there, right? It's not. It's hard to describe and hard to explain because the spotlight can't shine on everybody all at once. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the standard rule, right? We share this game with each other. There's going to be times when it's me. There's going to be times when it's me and you. There's going to be times when it's all of us. There's going to be times when it's the GM. And in all of those times, they're equally as important as the next one, right? If I'm not involved in a scene, it's not my place to disrupt that scene. It's not my place to be causing distraction or making jokes or any of the other stuff. It's my place to be quiet, wait my turn, and then go for it, right? Sometimes that can be a little bit boring for the people who feel like they have to be involved with the game at all times, but I would really recommend that you start to look at it from the point of view of a story, right? If you're not involved in the scene,
I was just gonna
that's your opportunity to start taking notes.
Yeah. I would say that we're all collaboratively making a story here, right? And that's what it is. It's the GM kind of laying it out. And we've covered this in every behind the screens session that we have done. It is a collaborative storytelling game. Collaborative being the main point here. It is everyone's story to tell, not just one person in everything, right? That also means you GMs as well. Because with some GMs out there, they are aspiring writers. They have that novel in their head that they need to get out. Yep. And that is wonderful.
You see yourself as the next Matt Mercer or the Brennan Lee Mulligan, and you think that you can sit there for 40 minutes giving your description of the sun rising over the village, right? Not that they do 40 minutes monologues, but I mean, you know what I mean, right? Like, no, it just doesn't work at a normal table.
There is a time and a place for that, and the only way that kind of stuff that does happen is with practice and experience. So, I mean, you could break it to your group and say, "Hey,
this is something I'd like to start.
I want to try doing some of this a little bit, and we'll start, baby stepping it, right? So you see the sun rising over the village. Oh, okay. Or you see the sun shining rays between the two foothills with spraying golden light down upon the village in the morning.
Yeah, working on your descriptions. Like that. Just
a little bit of, filling out the descriptor a little bit so that everybody's mind's eye sees more of the same. Right?
Yeah, we're not saying don't describe the scene. We're saying don't over describe the scene. Don't make this about you. The game is not about you. It's about us, right? And
it's about all
and players, don't forget your GM. Your GM needs those moments too. Speaking as a GM who has written the odd monologue, there's nothing more destructive to the work that I put into this than to have that epic moment of mine with the big bad evil guy going the moo-ha-ha-ha. This is finally my moment to explain to you my evil plans, being shot with an arrow and is starting an initiative, right? It's tough. There's ways to kind of set your scenario so that it can't happen, but come on, players, help your GM out every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes at the end of a long campaign, yes, it would be nice to get that closure done. But again, the GM does have to, throw that little bone out and say, this is why.
Exactly.
I know you want to get rid of the big bad evil guy, but this is why he's big bad, and it's important.
What I've started doing is that if my enemy who's monologuing gets taken out mid monologue, the information that he was going to provide the players is lost, and that's that. Yep. And you took him out before he could say what it is. That's the end of whatever road that is. You won't know.
Never know the actual plan.
Usually it happens once or twice, and then it's like, okay, we should probably hear him out. Sometimes
the table figures
sometimes it doesn't matter.
That.
Sometimes the big bad evil guy is so big, bad, and evil that you just got to take him out. And I get it, players. There's moments, but I'm just saying maybe 1 in 5, right? 1 in 4. Yeah. Just let the DM have that moment.
Just let him talk it out for a bit. So you're hearing us bring all these things in, don't do this,
all
don't
the
do
rules.
That. Yeah, rules. Well, how do you go about putting that
into action?
in order to protect that circle. There's a few things that we can do to do this. Obviously, we said session 0 is very, very important for all this. This is where you lay out, hey, when you guys show up here, this is our time. This is what we do. Try and keep the distractions to a minimum. Phones on silent. If you're expecting something, whatever.
Yep.
That's a real world thing. That is real world emergency. This is just a game. Now, that being said, this is just a game that we only play a few hours a week. Or
whatever
a month.
Your schedule is, right? Like we're all agreeing that we're going to set this time aside to play this game for this finite period of time. We should be all in at that point.
Yeah. And while we're here, here's how we act here. Here is the behaviors that I, the GM, am expecting of you players. Okay. And this is what you will get in return from me. Okay. Like, this is where this session 0 is where all that gets sussed out. And typically that's usually only for newer tables. If tables have been playing together for a long time, they already know that inherently.
Exactly.
And our table specifically, we don't have a very long session 0. It's like 10 minutes.
It's quick. Well,
here's what's happening.
And that's because we've played together for such a long time, right? So we just know how the other people at our table work. And I think we mentioned it in our session 0 episode, but the reality is the session 0 takes as long as it needs to, right? You might come into a table, slot right in immediately, and bam, you're going. And there's nothing else to it. You just literally up and boop, out you go. You may come to a table where you are in for an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours in order to get a good grip on how things are going to run your game. And I would recommend that you don't put a time limit to it, that you make it clear that the point of this is to get you to a place where everybody's good to go so that session 1 can start with 0 issue.
That's right. And that the game can continue with 0. Now, another thing that you can do is a sort of quote unquote starting ceremony, right? DG, you do one for us.
Yeah. So I had put down the concept of like a starting ceremonies. This could be whatever it is, but what we do for our streaming game is I identified everybody like, okay, I'm putting up the starting soon scene, which is literally just, it says stream starting soon, and it gives us enough time to get to our chairs, get things sorted, get the music up, do our things. When everybody's like, okay, we're basically ready to go, then I let the GM know, like, okay, I'm bringing up the intro video, and our intro video is about 3 minutes long. So that 3 minutes is designed for everybody to get settled, right? To get kind of to a place where we're ready to play at any moment type of thing. That last kind of bit. And then the GM does the when we last left our heroes synopsis, right? This is what happened last time. Yeah. Here's the things that we did that are relevant, right? It's disguised as a synopsis for the viewers of the stream.
It settles everyone down into
as a
their
moment
seats and
for
into
that.
their
It's like,
roles.
hey, we're ready to go. It's time to go. It's the signal to the group that it's time to leave the real world and get into the magic circle, right? We're here to game. Yeah. This is now the green light has lit and we're going. And it's actually, it works very well, right? That's our thing. It can be whatever you want. Maybe at your, our in-person, session, the one guy had printed those, torches to go on the table. Maybe your starting ceremonies is when those torches are lit, it's time to calm, and then we go. Right? It could be anything, right? But it's just getting into the habit of something so that people can see it's go time. It's time to close this door and open this.
I would like to say that the synopsis I find really helpful. It gets me down into my character a lot faster than anything else. I hear that synopsis going
right
and I'm
back
like,
into it.
Bam. I'm in because now I remember what the heck we were doing from last week. Let's go. Or in my case, like the last one was like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I sat down and I'm like,
time to
all
do
right,
this,
let's go.
Right?
we're good now. I had a couple fuzzy questions,
Yeah.
and then we're gone to the races. And it was
we've
good.
toyed with the idea as well of having the players do the synopsis, right? One of the things that we, and Finny, that was you and I talking about that, I'm pretty sure. Coming up with ways to get the players more involved. I'm always, as a GM, trying to think of ways to get the players to take more notes, to get more involved with the world, to kind of, because I think by just by human nature, they're already involved and just in the world while we're playing. But the act of like taking notes and literally going out of your way to do that extra stuff is a hurdle that I haven't quite been able to cross yet. Some players do, some players don't, and it's just how it is. But what I wanted to do was, for the synopsis, we're gonna roll a dice, right? Like we have 7 players. I was gonna roll a D8 and be like, okay, if it's a 1 or an 8, I will do it. And then I assigned everybody a number. And I rolled a D8, and I was like, whatever number it lands on, you give the synopsis. But what ended up happening was the player would give what they had as a synopsis, and me as a GM, I was constantly like, and then this, and then that, and then also this, and then don't forget this.
Yeah, because they would miss a lot of major, not even major points, but some of them would miss major points, and I'm one of them. I'll miss a point every now and then, and it just happens because either A, it didn't happen to my character, so I really wasn't invested at that moment, or B, it was something that I just completely blanked about.
Yeah, or you stepped away from the table for a minute or whatever it was, right?
Because for a while there, I was taking notes after the session, pounding away because I didn't want to do it during session because you're not
locked in,
engaged then, right? So I would do it after session, and then I'd forget some of the stuff that happened.
And I mean, and the reason why I bring this up isn't to say that this is the way you should do it. More so to say there are methods out there that exist that benefit one table that don't benefit another, right? And so what we found was it was just easier for the GM to give the synopsis and then offer inspiration for the players that are like, oh, by the way, here's something else that you didn't mention. It's like, oh, good point, inspiration. That's one for you. Rewarding, right?
Here's a minor point.
Yeah, a little bit more carrot, a little less stick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with it. Whatever your opening ceremonies are, I'd recommend you put something into place. It could even just be queuing up the music, right? We do a lot of music and sounds in our games too. It could literally just be the kicking up of the music is enough to get everyone to kind of shush a little bit around the table, stop their table conversations, and then settle into the game.
And it doesn't always work.
Doesn't always work. Yeah, sometimes you just,
because there's lots of times when DG hits that start stream button. Sometimes we're mid story in our from our real world experiences, and things just happen. I mean, it's game. It's
human nature. It's messy. It's intended to be that way. And if you're in with a good table, everybody will understand. It
really. Another thing that you can do to protect your circle is it might be a good idea throughout the game for GM to kind of take a tone check. Take a break from the game, pause the game, time out, and say,
everybody get up, players, get some water, get some snacks,
stretch, take a bottle break, come back. Are you guys okay with how this is working right now? Yeah,
you just lean over while you're got your hand in the pretzels dish, right?
Exactly. Is this getting too dark?
Yep.
Are there any changes that you'd like to see coming up, or is there a certain rule that's sticking out that's really bothering the group?
Bogging the game down. Maybe you're not realizing that it's slowing things down.
Because let's talk about it as a group. I mean, if this break takes another 5 minutes, that's okay. We'll sit down, we'll hash this out now, and we can deal with it. Because again, we're adults and we can communicate.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's all it is. It's a very small thing that I think people do forget about, because nobody likes conflict ever.
No.
I mean, real life conflict. They'll swing a sword at any NPC, no problem. But to tell the GM that, hey, I don't like this certain thing happening.
Yep.
It scares the bejeepers out of people, and that's human nature as well. But it's healthier to just say, hey, this is bothering me. We need to break up, or we need to take a break, talk about this for a hot second, and then we can get back into it, hopefully changed in a way that it isn't bothering.
Exactly. Yep.
Again, session 0 stuff.
Yeah. A lot of,
but
I mean, it fits.
This can be sprinkled throughout
absolutely
everything.
It fits so well with session 0 because session 0 sets your north on your compass, right? If you don't have a session 0, or you have a bad session 0, that weasels its way through your game, and there is no end to that, right? It's incredibly important to make sure that the train is on the track and it does not derail. And anytime that it looks like it's about to derail, that you have, checks and bounds in play in order to prevent it from doing so, right? A GM's job isn't to stick to their guns, right? A GM's job is to take feedback and put it into action. If all of your players are saying, you know what, it would be a lot better if you didn't constantly call for perception checks every time we entered a room. That's your job as a GM, to take that, grow, and move with it, right?
Yeah.
One player complaining is what it is. You should still listen, but it means more if it's coming from a place where we've already agreed, like, look, if I'm doing something that needs to change, I need you guys to tell me in order for me to do my job properly. Yeah.
Because that's the sign of a healthy table.
The sign of a healthy table. Communication.
Yeah. Last up, above all, don't jump down someone's throat for breaking immersion.
It's going to happen.
It happens.
It's going to actually happen a lot.
It is. It will. And as you grow with a table, it happens more, but it is easier to get back in because somebody will crack a joke. It'll be a pretty serious scene. Everybody will giggle.
And we're right back in it.
And like in a snap of a finger, you're back in, locked in, done.
And Sam. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? And because we're here to have fun.
Absolutely.
And it's there's a reason they put comic relief in 100%. Movies, right? It's to break up all that stuff.
If it was all heavy drama all the time, that's not a fun game, right? You have to have a mix.
There's got to be those ups and downs all the way through it.
Yeah. Don't judge, right? You don't know what's going on in people's lives. Stuff could be taking place. A game, it's still a game at the end of the day, right? It's not so serious that it's life or death. But the reality is, and again, I hate to keep jumping on the communication bandwagon here, but you need to be communicating when things don't work, right? If you notice a player is regularly breaking immersion, they're constantly pulling out their phone, or they're constantly trying to start side table, that's the GM's job. Or as a table, if it's the whole table, then that says even more. But it's the GM's job at that point to kind of pull that person aside, not in front of the table. This is not like a tear down of the person.
This is an after session.
An after session, or that tone check. You call the break.
Yeah.
You get your hand in the pretzels and you lean over to Sam and say, "Hey, Sam, can't help but notice that you're breaking immersion quite a bit here. Can't help but notice you're pulling that phone out all the time. Like, is everything okay? Are you? Yeah, I was just checking my Facebook. Okay, well, remember when we talked at our session 0 that we're really going to try hard not to do that? Is it possible that you kind of just put the phone away for the rest of the session just so that we can make sure that there's no more interruptions?" Communication.
No problem.
If your player flies off the handle from that discussion, it's a pretty good tone check to be like, you know what, maybe this guy's not working out for our table too much.
You know what, Sam? Just
stop.
Take a hike.
Just stop. But I mean, the reality is the most likely outcome will be just identifying that it's happening. The person probably doesn't even realize that they're doing anything to interrupt.
And Sam will go, what? Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that. Sorry.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry.
And that's
I'll put it
typically
away.
all it would take. Sam's probably going to pull their phone out again. And that's okay.
Probably.
It's a thing. As a table, we're going to agree or disagree, and we're going to move on.
That's right. But the important thing here is calm communication. Yeah. Don't fly off the handle and go, Sam,
that's right.
Heck, are you doing pulling your phone out? Jeepers. that is really breaking immersion for
Absolutely.
the whole table. No, it's just there's no reason.
Importance of the magic circle at the end of the day, right? It's funny because you'll know that it's happening, and if you've played a tabletop RPG, you've experienced this, guaranteed, right? But you'll know it's working when something happens in the game and you actually feel feelings for that moment. You're actually mad. You're actually happy. You're actually excited. You're actually sad, right? A PC dies and you feel this genuine bolt of sorrow for that moment, right? And you opened up the conversation with it, Finny. This is what makes the tabletop RPGs such an amazing activity, right? Because we can get so locked in on this whole thing to just be part of the moment. You know, my character, the paladin, isn't real, but my feelings for what that paladin is feeling in that moment are. And it's crazy because it just happens.
You're all of a sudden you're not playing a game. You're not listening to a story. You're experiencing the story because your character is actually writing the story. And that is what makes TTRPGs so cool.
And it's not just from the GM and it's not just from the player. No. It's this dance that happens between everybody at the table that breathes the life into it. I mean that's really it, right? We've kind of said the same point over and over again, right? That's the concept that makes the whole thing work. At the end of the day, that's what we're saying about the magic circle, is that if you don't have this in place, if you don't have this agreement of immersion in place, those remember when moments aren't going to happen, right? Because at that point, you're playing a game, you're not experiencing the game. You're not experiencing these moments.
Yes.
And that's why it's so crucially important, right?
Now, we're not saying that every table has to act like this or do anything.
See,
DG and Finny don't know everything. We call ourselves the masters of pen and paper, but we are very far from. We are acolytes at best. This is now, of course, the time of age we're in. Everybody's got feelings and everybody's got opinions, and these are just our opinions. These are what work for us, and these are what we feel would work very well. And this is, I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast anyway.
You have to do your own thing, but this is taken from years of experience of playing these games. That's how we've come to what we have. No table is going to be the same. No two tables are going to be the same. No. So the best thing that you can do is go to a table with an open mind and be ready to change according to the way that the game needs to be played.
Adapt. Don't change.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Just adapt to the scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Be open to it. You're gonna feel embarrassed. That's okay.
You know what? So is Sam.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right.
is John.
Exactly.
And so is Dave.
And
everybody when they first sit down and they try that.
Yep.
It's awkward.
It
feels
you
weird.
have that I'm a fish out of water. I'm incredibly out of place. You don't realize that that this is actually something that you share in common with everyone. It took me a long time to get comfortable with RPing at the table, right? My first few forays into Dungeons and Dragons was very board game like. Compared to where we are now, I'm like doing voices and I'm like, I'm trying to embody the character. I try to act as if kind of thing. And when you shake that off and you get comfortable and you start to lean into it, you get this absolutely fun experience. And without it, I truly don't know how this could possibly work without that.
Yeah. The magic circle is pivotal to TTRPG. That's what makes it fun and what makes it completely different from board games and video games. It can be very awkward to start role-playing.
Yeah, it can.
Like, it's very awkward.
I'll go so far to say it's still awkward, right? Like,
it is.
Like, even in these... we're what, 20 some years into playing these games?
Yeah.
It's still weird right?
And that's okay.
It's all right.
Your first 12 characters can be you
That's right.
dropped into that scenario. That's fine. But eventually you'll want to stretch out a little bit and explore, changing your voice just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe acting a little bit different from what you usually do.
That's right.
That's role playing, and that is the fun. That's where the fun comes in.
Absolutely.
Because rolling the dice and seeing that 20, that's fun.
Those are those epic
Role
moments.
playing that coercion role, that is fun.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes if you do it well enough, the GM goes, yeah, okay, I don't need you to roll for that.
That's
that worked good enough. And that's the GM saying, I appreciate you doing that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's really funny because the two main D&D characters that I've got going on right now, I've got this real brawny half-orc burst down the door, run through the hallway, screaming with an axe over his head. And then I've got this tiny little wizard who is like cold, calculating, smart, right? Very much danger averse, right? And they couldn't be more polar opposites of each other. And that's the beauty of these games, is that the ability to create that character and embody it and breathe some life into it. It's just, it's unmatched in my opinion.
Yep. It's a completely, again, unique experience.
Absolutely.
That is not found anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's
I
all.
mean, we
That's
can
all
keep
we
telling
got.
you to feel feelings and protect immersion, but I mean, that's really the gist of it. I'd
That's
recommend that you go out, you seek out opportunities, have a talk with your group about how to protect the magic circle. And Finny, with that being the end of this, I mean, that's going to lead us over into the post-pod. 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 Post-pod.
Post-pod. Yeah. All right. I mean, it's something.
Love it.
Post-pod of the day. Note-taking. How important is it?
It's really funny because I mentioned note-taking earlier in the podcast, completely not seeing that this was the post-pod. How important is it? Incredibly important, in my opinion. The thing is that, from the perspective of who, I guess, would be the question. The GM, absolutely of utmost importance. If you at all forget the name of that one-off NPC that the players begged you for a name, the Jarnathan of your campaign, if you happen to forget that, the players will never, ever, ever let you live that down.
Nope.
So it is crucially important for all major things. Basically, if it's a noun, you want to have it in a book somewhere, right? You want people, places, and things all over the place. As a player, I would really recommend that you get into the habit of doing it. And the reason for is twofold. One, if you're taking notes, you're locking into memory what happened in that session, and you're prepping yourself for the future of remembering what happened. Because a lot of groups, like we play once per week. Well, we technically play twice a week, but we play once per week in our main game, right? And remembering from session to session just a week apart sometimes is very difficult. I can't imagine what it would be like if you were a month or a couple months or a year, right? Like having a gap of time with no notes would be next to impossible. And it puts a lot of unnecessary stress and pressure onto your GM. And that's kind of what I'm leading at is, as a player, even if you capture 45% of the notes, I capture 45, you capture 45, the next guy captures 45, and with all of our partial notes combined, we have a full package of notes. And we can say, oh, but you forgot about this thing that happened, and it just takes that pressure off the GM a little bit. And so, to me, I would say it's incredibly important. Am I going to get mad at a player for not taking notes? Nah. Not everybody's a note taker. A lot of people need to be involved in the game, and they need to be part of it. And that's okay too. That's why the GM takes those notes. But if you're able to cut your GM some slack, I'll always recommend for that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I highly
You're usually
recommend
our note taker.
Note taking.
You're usually the guy who's taking the notes for our group.
Yes, but with the work that I do, I typically bug out of the session.
There ends up being a
for
large
the
gap.
Game for so my notes have large gaps, and I was really good to start with, and then I hit my break, and I didn't pick it back up after that. But I do have that name of that bad guy from session 3
sitting in there
on my notes, and he did actually come back, and I did have his name there. I just had to do a quick scroll through
Control
my note taking.
F. Yep.
Yeah.
Did you catch an inspiration for that one? For knowing the name?
I think I did.
You should have, because I was going to say if not, then we have to have a conversation because.
But I do like having I do like taking the notes. Again, I typically try to do them after the session, like right after the session, though.
Yep.
Like not like as soon as the session's done, I am hitting the keyboard as fast as I can, trying to get all that information that came out of that session into the word pad or whatever it is. But again, I missed some of it. I got most of it.
Sure.
If it's something like an NPC name that is fairly important, I'll quickly throw that in with a little side note saying NPC at whatever location, But it's not enough to take me out of the game.
For sure.
It's just enough to throw that over there, done. It's like a sticky note, right?
Nice and simple.
Slap it on the computer monitor, call it good.
And away we go.
And that is a good form of note taking as well.
Absolutely.
Like it doesn't have to be a full 500-page foolscap box, scribbled front and back. Of every little deed that you guys did and every NPC and word you said.
You're not chronicling the adventure. That's the GM's job, right?
That's the GM's job.
Your job is important names, important people, important places, important things.
That's right. But I did notice, because I did try out the players recapping last session.
Okay.
I tried that out once, and it ended up being one person would start, and then another would chime in and say, "Hey, this happened to you," and another one tried to chime in, and it was good.
You would get there.
Everybody did chime in.
Yeah, and
all the notes would.
That's where it really makes a difference in the table that you have, because some players can do that, other players they can't. Right?
That's right.
It's funny. This conversation just spawned an idea for inspiration to me. Which is really crazy because it has nothing to do with what we were talking about. But I just immediately thought about what if inspiration was via points. So right now you can have max 2, max 3, or whatever your inspiration is, right?
Yeah.
But what if we were like, you can hold up to 5 inspirations. They're inspiration points. And if you get 5 inspiration points, you can cash all 5 in for an instant crit. But you can still use them as normal inspirations up to the way. The only way you're going to earn inspirations, and this is why this kicked off, is by catching moments in the story and being like, if I'm like, hey, does anyone remember who the name of that person is? And you're like, it was Sam. Boom. Inspiration point for you.
Interesting.
So you can earn the inspiration points for these epic moments, for like all the ways that you normally could. But I also have a tendency to grant those for like, again, you're the note taker. You assist me as the GM out. I'm giving you an inspiration point for that. You remember the name of that guy from session 3 and we're on session 650? Yeah. Okay. That's worth an inspiration point at least.
Thank God. Cause I
know what I'm saying? and because the thing with inspiration points for me, that's a bit of a curse, is that you can only stack 1. Yeah, I think the standard game is 1 inspiration. We play with 2.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, you have it or you don't kind of thing. I like the idea that you could store these. You could bank them a little bit.
Yeah.
And because at that point you're choosing not to use them. You're choosing to bank them up, and you're going to spend them all for like 1 Omega shot. Like you want this to be a crit.
1 guaranteed.
Yeah. You're cashing in all 5 points and you're going to get that crit.
Heck yeah.
I like it. I might actually put that into play.
There you go.
It had nothing to do with this conversation, but you know what? We're in the magic circle of this podcast right now, Finny.
Ta-da. Yeah, we are.
That's what happened.
Locked in.
We're locked in, number 8. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, streaming this from wherever it was that you found it. We greatly appreciate you for doing so. You can find this podcast all over the internet, primarily at Spotify, on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. And the YouTube address is youtube.com/@DadGamingOnline. Or you can also see us streaming the Dungeons & Dragons game that we play every single Sunday night at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on that same YouTube channel. It's also available on Twitch at twitch.tv/DGOnline.
You can also
do it.
Shoot us an email at mastersofpenandpaper@gmail.com. That's all words, no symbols. Send us what your opening ceremonies are.
Yeah, let us know
That
what
would be fun.
what your rituals are.
Yeah. We also have a Discord server that has a nice little nook in the corner for us TTRPG nerds.
Carved out a quarter of the internet for us.
Yeah, it's a nice.
Oh yeah,
little
no,
place.
it's good. Yeah, we're good there.
Yeah, full of good people. Yeah. But that's it. That's all.
it. Episode 30 in the bank. Thank you so much one last time. We really appreciate you listening all the way to the end if you got this far. And until next time, episode 31's the next one. We'll catch you on that time, that place, and have yourself a great one.
Take care, everyone.